visualize the future. What do you want the world to look like? And so ignore the things that are going around you because they are distractions. And instead, if you could wave your magic wand, how would you want the world to look? And then you can evaluate what you've done in the past, what you're currently doing, and start ranking and rating what you need to do to move forward towards that perfect future. Mahan quoted Andy Grove, and I quote him repeatedly in the book because one of the things he focused on while I was at Intel is job one. You can't do everything. And right now we are in survival mode. So what's the number one thing you can focus on in order to achieve that perfect future?
Fabulous. Fabulous. Spot on. Simon?
No, absolutely. And, you know, I often talk about this concept, and I didn't come up with it, but 21st century leadership. And I'm really interested because, you know, growth is a thing that we've always thought about as businesses and leaders. But I think my sense is that the younger generations, Lisa, are looking at growth in different perspectives. You know, we hear about the circular economy and donut economy, and you know, my daughters are in their early 20s, and they're much more concerned about the environment and you know, and social inclusion and all these things. How are you optimistic that the slant that the people that are younger than us will take in terms of you know, changing the world and viewing the world? Are you optimistic?
I'm always optimistic because I believe in the power of people. And the reality is they are identifying things that we have not focused on in the past and are very important items for us to include in our future vision. However, I would also say that right now they're facing the realities of life. And now that I'm older and I'm a mom of a 24-year-old also, and also I've employed and managed a lot of people, is I'm starting to recognize the benefit of the wise words I was told by my bosses throughout my life. And yet at the same time, I never understood the value of what they were trying to tell me until I'd lived the experience. And so this may be, you know, COVID has provided them with a devastating global situation, which we are all coming out of. And we have to be able to balance aspirational goals against the realities of what we face each day. And I think that's the hard lesson that this generation is learning right now.
They are. I think they're getting a speed lesson in that reality. I think, you know, I think for my generation, you know, I grew up born in the 60s and grew up in the 70s, 80s and 90s. In my part of the world in Europe, I was privileged. You know, I hadn't experienced a pandemic or a war in Western Europe or any of these other things. And looking back, it was easy to take that sense of certainty for granted. And I think one of the benefits for my daughters is that the downside is it's a bit of a call, you know, an awakening, that the fact that these negative things are happening closer to home. But I think it's making them more realistic and less deluded, maybe, Lisa, what you were saying there.
You know, one of the things I write a lot about, and I do believe strongly in, is that it's one bite of the day. And what I mean by that is that we need to move over. I actually think some of the depression and the anxiety is that our goals were too aspirational. We made them too difficult to be successful. And so anything we can do to help guide young people into taking one bite of the day, what's the one thing you need to accomplish today? And by doing so, celebrate it. Celebrate it. Even if you only make, a friend of mine today pointed out, 1% of progress, 1%. That's it. Take a moment to celebrate each point of progression, because that's truly the only way we'll move forward. And what it does is it empowers you. All of a sudden, it gives you that energy. When you make things too big and too hard and too big to fail, it's hard to feel positive, but take advantage of each thing you can do.
Absolutely. You know, this is the toughest part of my job today, and that is stop somebody talking who should be keep on moving, because the queue is full and we have some more wonderful guests. And I am just flattered and thankful that you made it on, Lisa. Thank you so much.